Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Yap Sessions with Anne. If you're new here, my name is Anne, and this podcast is exactly what it sounds like: real conversations, experiences, just a lot of yapping about life, starting your career, navigating your career, and everything in between. In the last episode, we graduated now what? We talked about life after getting your offer letter, navigating your career, the good, the bad, and all the unexpected challenges. But today in this episode, we're going to dive into the other side. What happens if you don't get an offer letter? What do you do then? If you graduated and you're still applying, you're still waiting, and you feel like you're behind, this episode is for you. I usually think of 4 scenarios that people fall in when they don't get an offer letter, and I want to break down into each of them because where you fall determines what you could do next. The first scenario is when you graduate college with a low GPA and no internship experiences. Unfortunately, in today's job market, having a degree in a field that you want to go into is not enough to get a job. You need to have some type of internship, part-time job that is related to that field. For instance, if you're studying finance, if you're studying economics, if you are wanting to go to law school, you need to find a job that relates to that specific major. And I tell people this all the time, and I used to tell people this all the time when I used to be in college. Working at Target, working at Walmart, working at a clothing store is not gonna cut it when you need a full-time offer. And I know a lot of times people do have those jobs because they need to pay certain bills, they have responsibilities, but they don't know that if they do get an internship in finance and law, you get paid actually way more than what you make at those retail stores. Fortunately, I always think there's a solution to everything. So if you did not get any internship, you did not have good grades when you graduated college, one solution that I always advise is to go back to school. Go back to school, get your master's, but this time do it right. Get the internships, make the connections, join organizations. And the second solution also is you don't necessarily need to go to get your master's for that. I advise people to do so, but you can get contract roles, temporary roles that are not necessarily at top firms, but you can still gain certain skills for you to catch up and eventually land the job and be in the career that you want to be in. Scenario number 2, let's think about if you graduated with okay grades and you had 1 or 2 internships. So that could be graduating with a GPA of 3.2, 3.3, and you had 1 internship similar to the field that you want to go into. In this instance, let's say that you are applying to top consulting firm, top investment banks, top law firms, and you're not hearing back, but you only have 1 internship related to that field, and your grades are okay. Unfortunately, the top firms always recruit 1 from target schools, and if they don't recruit from target schools, you really have to be, you had like a lot of internships, you had an internship with them, you're super involved on campus. But if you're not, it makes it harder for you to get that role. So my advice to people who are in that situation is to apply for really good firms, but not necessarily the top firms. And eventually you can always apply to one of those top firms when you do get experience at another firm to be there and get, the brand name, the money, and whatever comes with the firm that you eventually want to work for. Scenario number 3, and this is big. Let's say you have good grades, you have a lot of internship experiences, but your resume and your interviewing skills do not speak for your experience. So first, let's talk about your resume. I see a lot of times people have resumes and it's multiple pages, it's images there, it's big fonts, it's just a lot going on. There are specific formats that companies look for, especially now. They scan your resume probably through an AI system, and if it doesn't pass it, you're done. And there are specific ways that your resume needs to be structured, for you to pass that system. And let's say like now your resume is good and it speaks for itself, but then you get into the interview and you can't really back up your argument, I want to call it, right? Because your resume, it makes people interested in you. It's like, oh, like she worked there, he worked there, and this, like I want to know more, but you can't tell them more. You're not confident in your interviewing, you're not explaining details of the bullet points in your resume. It just makes people not interested. And then sometime your resume is really good in terms of like you're good on paper, but then you have no human skills. You do not volunteer, you are not involved in any type of organization. So they're like, okay, like you have all the skills, but then can you work with people? Like, are you interested in something else beside, staying in front of a computer, and you're good with data, you're good with Excel, you're good with writing papers? Like, what else can you bring to the company's culture? So I think that's one of the biggest ones. So the obvious solution to that is to take a look at your resume and align it with what companies usually look for, and practice interviewing. And the last scenario is something probably a lot of people can relate to. You have the good grades, you have all the internship experience, you have the perfect resume, you interview really well, but the issue is the job market or the field that you're going into is really, really bad. In this instance, again, I always think there's a solution to everything, and the advice I'm going to give for this applies to all the stages is networking. You don't know how many times people who don't even qualify for certain roles, just because they're good people's people, they're involved in so many things, when an opportunity comes up, they get the first call because they have those relationships, and that's it. So I think if you have the experience and everything aligns, you just need to get out there, go to networking events. And sometimes networking events does not mean you need to go to a structured official networking event. It could be your hobbies, it could be going golfing, it could be going swimming, it could be volunteering. And the amount of people you can meet in those spaces just by doing the things that you like. I don't know if the advice with this or the things you're gonna get from this is maybe have a hobby, because you're gonna get connections from this. And it's true, because I had so many friends who got job offers, believe it or not, just by volunteering. Like, they met people from top companies at certain volunteering events, and that they liked them, and then the connection was made. So it doesn't even matter what stage that you're in. Just always value networking. Like, there's a solution to everything. If the job market is bad, there are still jobs that are being given out. People are still getting hired, believe it or not. Right now, I know people still getting hired, and it's strictly because they're getting referrals, they're getting connections. Aside from having the skills, you always need to have the skills, but let's say you already have the skills, everything is correct, you just need to work on your networking skills. If you're watching this and you don't have an offer letter yet, I don't want you to think that you're a failure, that you're behind, because everybody starts at a different point after graduating. So all you need to do is do some little changes to your strategy, and you'll end up where you want to be. It does not mean that you're going to end up where you want to be tomorrow or in 2 months, but if you change your strategy and you're very intentional about what you want, and you take a look at your situation and see what you can do about it, you'll be exactly where you need to be. Feel free to take a screenshot of this slide. You have resume prep, interview preps, networking spaces, and the links and the bio. Thank you for yapping with me today. I hope this episode helped you. And if it did, share, comment, like, show some love. And I'll see you in the next yap session.